Well, David Matlow says that a conversation about Herzl will probably make me feel better. I hope he's right. I never thought we'd be using Herzl for medicinal purposes. One of our favorite guests is, in fact, David Matlow. He's with us live via telephone as an update on the world's largest Herzl collection. Hard to believe, right, folks? Well, we saw it with our own eyes. We visited Toronto, Canada, and saw 99% of his collection. We visited New York City when his Herzl material became a museum exhibit. Honestly, it's pretty remarkable. David Matlow, a pleasure to welcome you back to JM in the AM.
Thank you very much. And it is Herzl magic, so I hope it does make you feel better, this conversation. It can't hurt.
That's true. It can't hurt. And as you know, he certainly spurred on some positive situations in modern Jewish history. Wouldn't you say, David?
Well, Herzl is magic. He was the visionary of the state of Israel, which, of course, all of your listeners know.
Right.
And through his dedication, his ingenuity, his effort, we're the beneficiaries of the state of Israel that he envisioned.
Pretty amazing. And all this, of course, before the state was founded. Herzl did not live to actually see the state, but his remains are obviously on Mount Herzl in Jerusalem, a place we've become all too familiar with over the last 2 years with the number of amazing young soldiers that we've lost in the most recent war. David Matlow is with us. So you always seem to have something new to share with us, whether it's an event, whether it's a specific item or items, or something you came across that even surprised you, even, being the world's largest Herzl collector for the last many decades. What has happened in early 2026 to catch David Matlow's attention?
Well, I go on the premise that the world needs more Herzl. It needs more understanding of what Herzl did, who he was, and what he envisioned, and at a time where people, our detractors, just have a total misunderstanding, perhaps maliciously, of Israel and its origins. It's important to talk about and learn about Herzl. So there's four things. 2026 is only 8 days old, but there's four new things that I wanted to share with your listeners.
Yeah.
One is that I have a new exhibit, which is at the Holy Blossom Temple in Toronto, and it's called Herzl Hope Home. And I took two themes of Herzl's work. Hope, the Hatikva, the state of Israel is so wrapped up in hope that the national anthem is called The Hope.
Right.
And also home. This is the state of Israel envisioned as our home. And during the period of time when there were the hostages in Gaza, and of course I know there's one yet to be returned, and his remains should be returned very quickly.
Amen.
We talked about bringing them home. And also the exhibit's running till the end of February, but I was asked by Rabbi Slansky to include in the exhibit things that might be relevant for Lag BaOmer that's coming up early next month, and Shabbat Shira. So in terms of home,
Lag BaOmer is not till May.
Tu B'Shvat.
Tu B'Shvat.
Sorry, get my holidays mixed up. I get my acronyms mixed up. Sorry, it's Tu B'Shvat. And it's about trees. And one of the ways that the Jewish people reflected their desire to build the homeland was in the planting of trees through the Keren Kayemet, Jewish National Fund, and others. And in fact, Herzl, on his one visit to Israel in 1898, planted a tree in Matzah outside Jerusalem. And in the First World War, the Turks cut it down. And Zionist youth groups went to the site of the tree, picked up the cones from the cut-down tree, took the seeds out of those cones, and planted new trees from the seeds of Herzl's tree all around Eretz Yisrael, wow, which is a tremendous metaphor for ourselves now. We take what's been destroyed and we rebuild, and rebuild even more than it was before. So that's my exhibit in Toronto. I also have a traveling exhibit, which in 2025 was in Henderson, Nevada at Ner Tamid, and just was in Little Rock, Arkansas at Synagogue Agudat Achim. And if any of your listeners are part of a synagogue or a JCC which would like the exhibit to come to their town in 2026, please reach me. I'm findable. And one of the two other things that I've been working on is for your listeners in New York, they may know about the Hatikva Sticker Collective, which is peppering or pasting stickers throughout New York City, and it's expanded across North America because we have it in Toronto too. Taking iconic images, Zionist iconic images, because there is a very rich visual arts tradition in Zionism, Arthur Szyk, Budko, Ian Lillian, and repurposing those images for the messages of today. So I have been providing images from my collection to the sticker campaign and the Hatikva Collective. And one of the notions is essentially to create an ambient Zionist museum through stickers around New York City and other cities to learn about Zionism while you're looking at lampposts or in bus shelters or on your hydro poles. And the last thing is I have started something on social media called Herzl Break. There is a great popularity of sports memorabilia, opening old packages of baseball cards live in front of a camera to see if there's a Mickey Mantle in there or a Canada Wayne Gretzky rookie card. So a Herzl Break is when I open a newly received unopened package of Zionist memorabilia that I've ordered from an auction or a purchase, and I open it live in front of a camera. So you can find on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook, hashtag Herzl Break, and it's just a way to bring the message of Herzl and Jewish sovereignty in the Jewish homeland. My last Herzl Break last week has been viewed more than 16,000 times, and many of them in the Arab world, surprisingly. Wow. So hopefully it's a message of, it always ends with a message of hope and peace, but also explaining Herzl, Zionism, and the intention behind the enterprise of having Jewish safety, Jewish freedom, Jewish sovereignty.
Pretty amazing.
And it's only January 8th.
Am I spelling this correctly? I'm trying to install it into my Instagram repertoire. Am I spelling it correctly? Well, how would you do the Herzl Break?
Well, you would search me, David Matlow.
Got it.
Or on TikTok, I'm Mar David, or hashtag Herzl Break, one word on Facebook. And they will come up. And of course, I have my weekly column Treasure Troves in the Canadian Jewish News, which I also post on Instagram and Facebook weekly. They come out on Sunday.
All right, we just followed you on Instagram, so hopefully we'll be privy to those amazing videos. Sounds really, really cool. By the way, anybody out there who would like to explore the traveling exhibit and having it come from Toronto to your hometown, just to email us. We'll put you in touch with David Matlow, Nachum@NachumSegal.com. Again, Nachum@NachumSegal.com. I assume Henderson had a larger Jewish population than Little Rock. Am I right, David?
Yeah, they did, but Rabbi Biller in Little Rock, he just wrote me yesterday to say how significant it was to the Little Rock community, the Little Rock community, to have a Herzl there. And frankly, and I wrote it back saying, I really don't know how much of an impact all these initiatives have, but I heard directly from him. There were a number of weeks of talking about Zionism, and quite moving to see it. There are many communities, of course, with Jewish populations that just don't have the privilege of seeing anything about our Zionist history. So that's one of my missions, is to bring it to smaller communities. Obviously, New York, I was thrilled to have my exhibit at the museum there last year, but I'm also thrilled to have it go anywhere. We really need to focus and be reminded or teach for the first time who Herzl was, what Zionism means. there's so much to learn and so much to be inspired by.
And the most interesting, unusual piece of Herzl merchandise, I always go with the Herzl socks, David, but I mean, that's passé already, right? That we've mentioned that a million times. Tell us something that we'd be shocked actually is a piece of merchandise that has been Herzlized.
So I haven't done this, but I'm very thrilled to have seen, whenever someone sees Herzl anywhere, they send it to me, whether they're touring through Europe or see it online. And
right.
It's the highest form of compliment that someone sees Herzl and thinks of me. But a gentleman named Adam Teitelbaum, who lives in Cincinnati, his company is Level 3 Industries, is manufacturing Herzl hats. So with the socks, you can be head to toe in Herzl.
Tell them I want to order one of those. That's fantastic. I love it. And finally, David, I know I'm sure I've asked you this before, but I need your perspective. It's 77 years now into the existence of the State of Israel. Herzl obviously left us many years before that. He had a dream, a vision, what he thought would become a reality, and he was right. And, of course, there's been ups and downs. There hasn't been a year that has not been a challenging year for the Jewish people in Israel. We know that, especially as we look at what's happened over the last couple of years. Do you ever sit back and just think about what he would say and how he would feel if he saw the State of Israel in 2026?
I'm asked that question a lot. It's both. It's the greatest success that he had envisioned. Israel, of course, is a miracle. That 9 million plus Jews living there, the economy and the culture and the democracy, for better for worse, that's there. But he would be disappointed, I believe, that the conflict continues.
Wow.
And he envisioned, and he probably was right, that the creation of he called the new society in Alt Neuland, the Medinat HaYehudim, the Jewish state, would be good for everybody. And it still can be, but ultimately, my takeaway from Herzl is, if you were standing in Herzl's shoes in 1896 when he wrote the Judenstaat, the idea of a Jewish state being created within 50 years was preposterous, was so unlikely to occur, and it happened. And I believe the creation of the State of Israel is less likely to have occurred, and of course it did, than ultimately the State of Israel finding a way to live in peace with all its neighbors, which is what Herzl wanted, which was the founders of the State of Israel wanted, which I'm sure all of us want. That's, if the State of Israel is possible, Herzl teaches me that ultimately, somehow, by people way smarter than me, all of the issues can be resolved, not today, and maybe in 20 years or another 77 years, but they can all be resolved. And Herzl's ultimate vision of a State of Israel and the Jewish people living in safety and freedom and in peace can be realized. And me talking about Herzl and sharing it in the various ways that I have talked about in this conversation are ways to keep that hope alive. We cannot despair, even in the most difficult of times.
Wonderful, David. Really amazing. Anybody wants to get in touch with David Matlow, especially if you'd like to pursue having the traveling exhibit of Herzl come to your neighborhood anywhere around this globe, be in touch with us. We'd be more than happy to connect you to David, Nahum at NahumSiegel.com, and make sure to continue to share this amazing vision of Theodor Herzl with the world. David Matlow has taken it to an extreme, and we are ever thankful that he has. David, God bless you. Be well, and thanks so much for sharing all of this today.
And thanks so much, and to you and all your listeners, be well and have a very good day.
Thank you so much. David Matlow, Thursday morning. You're listening to JM in the AM.